Welcome everybody back to another episode of Monday Night Muscle. I'm your host Sean Ray, joined by the voice of professional bodybuilding, Mr. Bob Ciccarillo. Bob, we are graced today with one of the original guys that puts all the dirt all over your body and makes you look nice and bronze on stage. Stacy Kaufman calling in from the great state of Florida. Stacy, welcome to Monday Night Muscle.
Gentlemen, thank you for having me. It's a true honor. Good to see both of you guys looking sharp.
Well, Stace, before you came out with the ProTan, we were literally rubbing dirt on ourselves.
It was, right?
There was a few products around, but they were horrible. Worse for us white guys, of course, but
Let's go back. Hold on a second. Stacy might know the history of this.
no, he knows it all too well, yeah.
No, but I'm just saying, before I heard of Stacy Kaufman and ProTan, there were a couple of things out there. I heard of something called Dioderm. Which was actually green.
Yeah.
But in all actuality, I didn't care to even pay attention to it because I live in California. And Chris Dickerson told me something very important back in 1984, 2 years after he won the Olympia, is he drove from Santa Monica to Palm Springs just to work on his tan weeks before the show to get the color right for the Olympia. When you look back at Chris Dickerson in his bodybuilding years, he's a very fair, light-skinned black guy, but on stage, very golden brown skin. This is before the coloring agents came to exist.
Well, Stace, we're going to go down memory lane here for a minute because you'll remember this as well as I do. But Sean, there was like three products that were out. Dioderm was number one. But they all had their faults, okay? There was something called Sudden Tan, which was actually brown when it came out, but again, it was just very sloppy and you could see every line. And then there was something called QT.
That was the first.
Now, QT was white.
The first.
You put it on, and overnight it would darken up. Here's the problem. QT was kind of yellowish. Sudden Tan was kind of too brownish. And Dioderm had like a reddish look, and then people would use stupid things like iodine and all this other weird stuff.
Iodine, right.
So until Stacy Kaufman comes along with ProTan, because I used this stuff when, this is why I lost to you, by the way, at the Teenage Nationals.
Oh, that's right. Your color was messed up.
The color was horrible, bro. Had I,
not to mention
for the record, if I had ProTan back in that 85 Teen Nationals.
You thought something might have changed?
Nah, absolutely.
The wood stain didn't work. Arnold used wood stain, so if you did the wood stain thing, listen, where do you think you got the name the Oak from? Come on, I don't know what you guys are thinking.
In all honesty, though, like I say, this is what you had at your disposal, and there was something called Clinique, which was basically a makeup that people used to even out, their skin tones and things like that. So you usually use some kind of combination of it all, but it was horrible because your color was all over the place. But so, Stace, what leads you to create ProTan back in the mid-'80s is when you started, and 87 is really when you made your splash. What made you start it?
So, it's great. Thank you, by the way. And I want to clarify, QT was the first self-tanning product invented in the 50s.
Oh, wow.
And it was where the invention of dihydroxyacetone, we're not getting to, but dihydroxyacetone is the self-tanning agent. So forget about the color of the bottle. The actual ingredient is clear powder, and that's used, and then it develops over time to give you that natural color. But QT was the number one brand. Dioderm was for a skin disorder called vitiligo, which meant you see people with disfigurements that have often white patches on their skin. I use Michael Jackson as a reference.
Wait. You use Michael Jackson as a reference, but you never saw a patch of white skin on his body, ever.
But
come on.
He took it all off.
I never saw it.
He had it on his hands. He had vitiligo on his hands. He was very white, and he made himself white.
You need to show me the pictures, the before and after. I know he said he had it, but no one's ever shown a photograph of it. I've never seen it. Well, I love Michael Jackson.
I don't. I mean, listen. I listened to him as a kid as a musician. I'm just saying that he became white. He whitened himself so much. He basically. But that's how. That was what Dioderm was. It was for pharmacists. It was sold in in drugstores or dermatologists, and that's what it was. And bodybuilders, as creative as they are, figured out, wow, this stuff really can work. And bodybuilders were using it. And you're right, it was green.
Yeah.
But it was the product that made me develop this product here, which is the original ProTan bottle.
Okay, Stacy, hold on. Were you bodybuilding at the time?
No.
Okay, so how does a regular guy, what, did you just go to a bodybuilder and go, hey, these guys need to be darker?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. How did you come up with this?
So what happened with me is out of high school, I went to Missouri, South Missouri State, to play football on a football scholarship.
Okay.
I went there for a few months, decided to leave school and come back home to figure out what I'm going to be. And back then, actually, I invented a spittoon because I was a big tobacco chewer, and I invented a spittoon. I'm like, I'm going to quit college, and I'm going to become this spittoon king with the, long story. I know.
Make mama proud.
I don't do it anymore, but it's good. So I come back home to Florida, and I got to go back to school. And I'm only 18 years old, and I was working. So I had a job. I worked Domino's Pizza, I delivered. I worked as a paste up artist at another place. And I actually worked at a cosmetic factory in the warehouse, just cleaning the warehouse, making things happen. And I was working out of the gym. I was a big guy. At the time I was playing football, I was 267 pounds. And I was in the gym going, and someone I said, let's go to a bodybuilding show. And I went to a bodybuilding show and I saw him putting baby oil on. I go, wow, that's cool. I didn't know anything about the tanning. And that was 1984. Yeah. And I get back to the job, my cosmetic, I say, hey, listen, Don, the guy who was the owner, I said, I want to make an oil for these bodybuilders, but I see they're using baby oil. I see it's like really shiny, and I saw like a lot of like reflections. So we made natural vegetable oil called Original Muscle Up PPO, and that was professional posing oil. And we started one for men, one for women. That was what I started in 1984, before ProTan was invented.
Yeah, we were graduating high school in '84.
Sorry about that.
I gotta ask this now. Now, bodybuilding back in the 80s, as we grew up in it, was not the bodybuilding like today. No. So there wasn't thousands and thousands, even though the NPC was the premier organization in the world still at that point. Right. It was men's bodybuilding and women's bodybuilding.
I was going back and forth between AAU and the NPC.
Right. So. I mean, our early days were two federations, but even it was only men's bodybuilding and women's bodybuilding. Right. None of these other divisions existed. So what made you think, even from going to a bodybuilding show, that maybe there was 50 people there, what made you think like this might be a lucrative business to get into? Like, what made you think you could mass market and there'd be enough people to buy it?
So I'll tell you what happened. So before the bodybuilding, I made a suntan oil. I went to the factory. I made my own suntan oil called Suntan U. So I'm like, let me make suntan oil and hustle on the beaches. So that's where I started. Like '83 when I had quit, I made suntan oil, and there's a brand called Suntan U. And my slogan was, I want a suntan U. And I had a bicycle, and I pedaled up and down the beaches. And I had I had a bike that was a 3-wheeler, and I had ice in the chest, and I kept my oil on ice, so it's almost like a gel. And I hustled to Coconut Grove Arts Festival. And then I was in the industry, so I was making my own oil, selling the weekends into some stores. When I went to that show, I just, the light bulb went off, like, wow, there's a market here. And there was actually a guy in the business out of Texas that had, before me, that was selling gels and oils for posing. I don't remember his name. It was out of Texas, and he had a couple of these creams, and no tanning, but oils. Yeah. So I wasn't the first. He was there. I made a show, but that was it. I saw an opportunity. I went to the guy, and I said, let me try it. Ironically, back then, Florida was a very big part of the NPC.
Yes, it was.
The gentleman running it back in the day,
Peter Potter.
John Carl Meese was running a lot. Yeah. Yep. And I reached out to John. I met John, and he said, "Yeah, I'll come on to this show." And I'll tell you, the first show I did was the 1984 Nationals, if I'm not mistaken.
Mike Christian won that. Yeah. Yep.
That's right. And so I went down there, and I'm at the show, and no one knows. I took a booth, $50. I paid for the booth, whatever. It was John's show, and I'm there with at that time I had an oil. The posing oil, and I also made a soap for acne. I had a couple of products. I had a soap for acne, a cream for stretch marks, and a posing oil. Yeah. And I made a bronzer, like you said, Clinique. I used the Clinique bronzer to make a bronzer. So before I had ProTan, I had a face and body bronzer similar to the Clinique one. So going to the show, and I'm doing it, people come by, I was selling this stuff, until I met Barry, the photographer, Barry, I can't think of his last name, he'll kill me if I don't remember his last name.
Barry Brooks. Yes.
He was photography, and I said, listen, I can help you. I can oil up all these people who have to get on your cameras. Let me do this. And that was what I started oiling all the people and the brand. And then in the shows, there wasn't a lot of shows. I went to the show selling the products. I heard about Dioderm. I heard about it. Yeah. And I got it. I brought it to where I was working. I said, look, I want to make this type of product. And I had a chemist back then. And that's basically what happened. I see people using it. Let's just come with it. The name ProTan, God bless, was a great name. It's very easy. And, the rest is history. I formulated it. We tested it in the lab. I had stripes. We were green originally, too, by the way. When ProTan first came out, it was green.
I remember. Yeah.
Because back then, you didn't want to be as dark as people want to be now. You wanted to be great tan, great color, that the lights hit your muscles properly and highlight your definition. That was the whole idea of the tan. So the darker you are, the more the light will absorb, as opposed to white reflects.
So, Stacy, let's educate Bob on, so when did you hit the oil? When did you strike it rich? What was your eureka moment with ProTan, and who were you working with? This is going to take me to the next level. Okay, so, of course, you were one of my first. Of course.
We're going to get to that story. But my real first love, not my love, but my first, the guy that broke my cherry, was Rich Gaspari.
There you go.
And this is, I'm going to bore you guys, but it was just, I invented ProTan. I didn't even have ProTan. I was just inventing it. I was in the summer. my family, my aunts lived in New Jersey. I was in New Jersey staying with them. I found out where Richie's gym was, Ron Capodanno's Gold's Gym. Got my aunt's car, go to the gym. Is Richie here? No, he went home. Do you have his address? No. I'm looking at the phone book. I find his address. I go to his house. I knock on the door.
That's classic.
Wow.
Well, hold on, Stacy,
Yeah.
I want to interrupt you. So this was a story that he had a very good opportunity at the Olympia, this past Olympia.
Yes,
it was me, Stacy, his wife, and Rich Gaspari.
Right.
And Rich, when you talk to Rich, you have to remind him of his life because he forgot the whole.
Right.
He's like Kevin Levrone. They don't even remember what happened. So he's telling this story to Rich like he's hearing it for the very first time. Rich lived it with you, but he doesn't remember it, and I'm hearing it for the first time. So what year are we in, Stacy? When you're?
So this is 1987, the summer of '87.
Oh, that's a good year for you. So finish your story.
So I go to this person, and I knock on the door, and a little old lady answers the door, and I said, "Hi, my name is Stacy. I'm looking for Rich Gaspari." And the bodybuilder said, "Oh, Richie, yeah, come in. Okay." I go in her house. Here I am in this person's house, and here's this little old lady, and then another little old man. And I see Richie's parents were probably all 5 feet and 4'7".
Little Italians,
I'm 6'2", 250 pounds still back then, so they let me in the house. I'm like, "Oh, is Richie? No, he's not home. Are you hungry?" Sure.
Classic Italian.
Sure. Wait, they give me a bowl of spaghetti and meatballs,
of course.
And I'm sitting here eating. All of a sudden, Richie comes in and looks at me and says, "Who are you?" I go, "Hey, I'm Stacy of ProTan." He goes, "How'd you get in my house?" So rolling. Fast forward now since '87, and Rich and I have been friends. To not too far later, at the '87 Nationals in Atlantic City, when I first met Sean Ray.
Yeah, now we're getting somewhere.
Rich, you're out, Rich. That story's over.
That was Richie.
So here I am in Atlantic City at this Nationals, all excited. And ironically, the guy who I wanted to win was a guy named Harry Dodich, was a friend of mine.
Harry Dodich from Florida.
Harry Dodich
Louisiana?
took
Was he
second.
from Louisiana, Harry Dodich? Or?
He took second in that. I was in his class.
Yeah.
That's right, you were in his class, right. What did you get in that
little
show,
known
Bob?
statistic.
That was my debut, along with Sean. Fifth place. I was fifth.
He was
Dodich was in there at second.
I think Zuccolotto was in there somewhere in the back.
Yeah,
might have been.
Zuccolotto was third. Hang on.
Yeah, he got second. Was it the black guy? Was it?
No, Dodich took second.
Oh, Dodich shot second. You're right.
Yeah,
But
Zuccolotto
obviously
was
the winner
third.
was
First
Phil
place
Heath.
Richards was there.
Williams.
was your buddy Phil Hill.
Victor was in. He was with me, Victor.
Oh, yeah, he was with you.
But the guy that actually won it was Phil Hill.
Oh, yeah, Phil Heath.
Phil Hill.
No,
Phil Hill.
Yeah,
Phil Hill. Not Phil Heath. Yes, Phil Hill.
Phil Heath was still playing with his blocks in the crib.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Phil
Sorry,
Hill
Phil.
won
Sorry,
my
Phil.
class, of course,
Phil Hill
and
from
then
Trenton,
Sean
New
ended up
Jersey.
beating him in the overall. That was a great show, by the way. But let me.
Wait. I
gotta
that.
say
You got to finish that. Go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead.
okay. There's more.
So I have this little table at this little hotel, the host hotel. I'm in this little table. I'm there and selling my products, and I see Sean. I'm like, "Oh my God!" I said, "You're gonna win this show." He's like, "Me?" I go, "Yeah." What's your name? He goes, "Sean Ray." Really calm, flat top.
Yeah.
On point. Grace Jones.
Really
Eraserhead
sharp looking, fresh Prince of Bel Air kind of
Mr.
guy.
California,
you know what I mean?
Bob, at the time. Mr.
So-
California, go ahead.
So here's this guy coming up. I'm looking at him. I'm thinking, my friend is screwed. I mean, Harry.
Sorry, Harry.
This kid looks good. So I said, "Man." I said, "What's your name?" I said, "Are you going to use ProTan?" He goes, "What's ProTan?" I think you might even had Dioderm.
Yeah, I think I
Probably,
had some
yeah.
with me. Yeah.
I think he had some. He goes, "No, I had this Dioderm." And I'm going to. He said, "Don't use that shit. We're going to do ProTan." He goes, "Okay." I go, I'll even tan you.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "Okay, I'm staying at a hotel." So after I'm done with that, I go to Sean's hotel.
Victor Richards was there.
Like
like
I
a
said,
shadow.
Sean had a roommate.
Yeah.
So the hotel was off the beaten path. Let's just be
It
clear.
was.
It was really a beaten path.
Yeah, it was
hotel.
ghetto fabulous. Go ahead.
Ghetto fabulous. Here I go, and Victor Richards, for those that don't know him, but Google him and you'll see one of the
Bigfoot.
biggest beast guys you've ever seen,
Yeah.
back in the days. And I say, "Dude, let's tan, you're going to win." Here, Sean and I just met. Sean's in his posing suit. We're in his bathroom with the window open. I go, "We got to have ventilation." And
Yeah.
we're in his bathroom, and I'm painting him, actually, with one of these, which
Yeah.
is like,
There it is,
brushes.
the sponge brush.
People don't even, the bodybuilders don't even know what this is anymore.
No.
guys.
It's magic right there, man.
That's
That's
old
the
school.
game
They're used to,
changer.
like sponges. This
Yeah.
is what it used to be, guys. So.
That's what we used.
Old
Yeah.
school.
So here I am with Sean, dipping in the bowl, brushing this kid. And listen, I don't have to say anymore. He stole the whole show. And then we became friends, and we had so much time over the years together. And like the industry, I have been so blessed to meet guys with both you too, Bob. Guys are just so lovely and, humane. And
Hey, what is this,
fun
35 years later or something? 34 years later, I believe? I don't know how long ago, 1987. It was a long time ago, but we're all here.
Yeah, that's well. Think about it. 87 was at 23. Yeah, It's 40 plus years. Well, 36 years.
Good Lord, man. Well, you've been on nothing but a rocket ship ever since. But we're going to take our first commercial break here, Stacy, because there's a whole lot more where that came from. Because not only were you a game changer in my career, and clearly the Dragon Slayer, Rich Gaspari, but thousands of careers were affected and touched by ProTan, one of the premier leading tanning agents in the business. And we're going to get more of that right after this commercial break.
Thank you, guys. Awesome. Can't wait.
You diet down, train hard, and supplement smart for months. When the time comes to step on stage, don't leave your tan to chance. Go with the pros. ProTan. #1 worldwide since 1987 and the official sponsor of the Olympia for the last 15 years. Don't step on stage without it. ProTan.
All right, we're back with ProTan man himself, Stacy Kaufman. Sean, we started way back before the days of ProTan.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell Stacy now the version from the consumer out there. Why ProTan quickly became the tanning of choice?
Well, because there's a lot of stuff that came and went. Remember that hot stuff you put on your body?
All that stuff.
Heat your skin up and the smells backstage.
But let me tell you the difference, because there was
still me, by the way, Sean.
Yeah, but is hot stuff still around?
Yeah.
Yeah, people still use it all over Europe. They love that stuff. They can't get enough of it. They love it.
And that stuff stinks like to high heaven backstage.
But real quick, Bob, before you get to your story, what does hot stuff specifically do? Because I remember smelling it. What's
dilator?
Yeah, exactly. So hot stuff was a vasodilator that actually makes your veins swell up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's what it is. So it was basically posing oil with some niacinamide and cinnamide, so it stimulated your blood flow, and it made your veins look like garden hose, and it still does, and people love it. And also, it keeps you warm backstage after you pump up.
Yeah.
It's cold back there. If you're not backstage pumping up, and you know it's like when you're done pumping, and it's cold, you lose your pump quick. So it kept you warm, which is really, really good in those days, especially during the winter months in those shows,
Yeah, absolutely.
So
keeps you warm.
Shade to 1987, new product comes out, ProTan. All right, I'm going to give this a shot. Here's why Stacy ended up kicking ass over everybody else. ProTan, the biggest problem with the tanning products back then was they all had their good and bad. They all had various shades.
Yeah.
But that really wasn't the issue. The issue was it looked good when you put it on.
Right.
But the second you put oil on, it started smearing all over the place. It was a big mess. You couldn't keep it, it was starting to sweat, and the stuff would just start to run.
Yes.
Stacy comes out, his product was alcohol-based. So it literally sucked into your skin. So the first time you used ProTan back then, and anybody who uses it now, huge difference, because this stuff sucked into your skin. You could sit there and rub your skin, and it wouldn't move. When you put the posing oil on, it didn't move. This is, I think, was probably the single smartest play that you made in the entirety of your ingredients. And what made up ProTan was this became the go-to tanning source for everybody competing.
Well, and I'm so happy you know the science behind, because that's what it is. There's two types of cosmetics: oil-based, water-based.
Right.
You're referring to those instant bronzers that were oil-based.
Correct.
So you put oil over it, but since ProTan is a water-based product, and then you put the oil over, so the oil sealed it. So yes, you're exactly right, and I'm going to give you an A+ for that one, Bob.
Well,
that's good.
And you can tell what comprised it, because if you had any nick or cut from shaving, and anybody's ever put ProTan on, burn. It's like whoa, But let me tell you though, that was huge though back then, because that was a huge problem in the industry. There's two things that could keep you, and we've both seen this. All of us have seen this over the years. There's two things that can keep you from winning, even if you have the best physique. You can't pose and show your physique. Your tan is so bad or absent that you actually just look so horrendous that somebody else beats you, even though you got a better physique.
Well, I can tell you one of the things I had going for me, Stacy, because I wasn't familiar with it until I got to the big stage of the national championships. So prior to that, the Team California, Teen Universe, Teenage America that I beat Bob at, I was focused on what Dickerson said. Get that 5 weeks of base coloring. So even though the ProTan came along, I always made sure I got a base tan, and I put the wax on the car. It's one thing to have a nice Ferrari. It looks totally different when you wax it up. So that's how I kind of treated my body like that.
I like that. And guys, this still the same. You still need a base tan. Look, ProTan isn't magic.
Yeah.
Nowadays, fast forward to people applying it. We do all the spraying. But in reality, you still want the base tan as a body. But one, the sun is good for you. First of all, the vitamin D is great.
Yeah.
Second of all, it dries you out tremendously.
Correct.
So I just tell bodybuilders, don't go in the sun 4 days prior. You don't want to be there 4 days, because some people could if
Burn.
you're too hot in the sun, you can hold water. So, just as long as you're no sunbed, no tanning beds 4 days before. So whether you you need a base tan even with ProTan. I know not many people do that anymore. For many years, sun, the damaging effects of sun, people are scared to go in the sun. The tanning beds also, but tanning beds are safe for you if you use them in moderation. They're actually good if you use vitamin D. Natural sun you need for vitamin D. Sure. So we still want people to get that base tan, Sean.
Yep.
Till today, even though our products are great, we learn how to apply it, and we have like top coat bronzers. If you have a base tan, ProTan looks just that much better.
Yeah.
And people really, and it's also good for you to get sun.
Well, let me blow a little bit more smoke up your butt there, Stacy, because not only
I like it.
Not only when the color's right, everything works, but typically my work started when the show was over. I'm constantly on the go, guest posing and doing photo shoots. And at that time, I don't have time to go and work on my tan, so to speak. But the ProTan lasts.
Yeah.
I mean, it stays with you as long as you
gotta
want it
wear
to.
off, basically.
Yeah, you pretty much. At the time, he didn't have something like take it off with.
Right.
So
now we do.
But at the time, it would just stay with you, which worked great for me because I'd guest pose weeks after the show, and my color would still be there.
Now let's get into some of the do's and don'ts because this is my observations on the process of tanning and some of the stuff you would think, and you see this all the time, Stace. I know the information you got out these days is obviously very wide. You can get on the internet, you can check it. You guys got FAQs and all kinds of stuff, but back then you didn't.
No.
So here's some of the stuff that we had to figure out on our own. One, do not do your hands and feet and face from your first coat because all those areas become, anywhere where there's rough skin, your knuckles, your elbows, your knees,
joints.
it ends up 4 times darker than the rest of you. So for all the people tanning out there getting ready, do not do those areas right off the bat, okay? You're going to do that a little bit later.
I'll go in the education.
Shoot.
So because you have more protein in those areas, because those are bendable areas, the product works with the protein in your skin. Because you have higher concentration of protein over your knees, elbows, and things that move, that's why it gets darker. So that's a science reason why it happens.
Number 2, bring your own sheets to the hotel.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I always had my tanning, what I called my tanning, it was like a blue, just a big giant sheet that I would immediately put on the bed. So for all you morons that are out there getting charged $400 for the bedding and stuff when you check out, bring your own stuff.
Yeah, then you don't have to worry about it.
Exactly.
I typically would sleep in my sweat. So
Me
I'm
too.
going to start to share some Sean Ray secrets.
I love it.
I normally
just tell me when you want me to say I love all that.
I normally wouldn't tell people this because this is what got me over the top. It's I'm 20 years in retirement there, Bob.
You can let the secret out now.
Yeah, so I didn't wait till the last day. Like I understand some people are in need of touch-ups, and a lot of white people wait and then they do all the coloring right there because they don't want to be in the sunbed. They don't want to do the natural tanning. So now they are codependent on the product. I would get my base tan out of the way, and that Thursday and Friday, competing on a Saturday, my tanning takes place Thursday and Friday. Saturday, I want nothing to do with it because I don't need it. I've got 5 weeks of base coloring, and I have this on. But when I go to bed, I put on full sweats from head to toe, not all the way up to my neck.
Sure.
The last thing I want to do is mess with my face or even my hands for that matter. But when I wake up on that Saturday, all I got to do is apply my oil. I've already put the color on, and for a lot of people, for the first time that you try ProTan, when you put it on and you let it dry for an hour or two, then you get in the shower, Bob. I know you're not used to this, but you get in the shower and you let the water just run over your skin, and it washes off the topical coloring. When I get out of the shower,
instant color.
When I get out of the shower, I pat dry myself. I don't use the towel like you do and just scrub my body. I pat dry off. And there's really nothing coming off because I rinsed off. And then I put on another coat of ProTan. And after I let that dry, I put on a topical oil, baby oil. I seal it. And I put on my full sweats. And I go to bed. I wake up the next day and I repeat it so that I'm rinsing off all that topical stuff that you normally would see bodybuilders sweating out on stage when they get up there.
Now,
and have to do the
I always got to give you credit where it's due.
Yes.
You were actually literally one of the first people, one of the first black guys.
Golden child.
That too. But black guys, for the most part back then, didn't use tan.
A
they
lot
didn't
of people
think they
did.
needed. Hey, I'm a black guy. I don't need.
I
I'm dark
can
enough.
Robbie Robinson, Bob.
And this
Robinson.
Wow, you talk. Robbie's
darker than your
Black
jacket.
Knight.
Okay?
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I can Robbie Robinson, the Black Knight, the darkest bodybuilder probably that ever
I know, right?
in the sport.
But I tell you what, it was huge back then because again, guys like yourself started using color, and it would just even out the skin, make it even more rich. And just that nice deep darkness, that lends to bodybuilding.
Bob, I was Stacy's first colored guy.
You were the
and actually
colored
was,
guy.
And I actually was promoting it because not only, listen, I was a fair skinned black guy, but this works all shades. all shades. And for the guys that are out there from Europe, the Eastern Bloc countries come in very, very fair. You know, like Dennis Wolf. Dennis Wolf
very
coming
white.
in without a base tan, it doesn't look right on some people. So I always encourage they get the base tan.
Well, we're going to explore the 50 Shades of Sean right after this commercial break. Stacey, hang on, plenty more to come right after these messages.
Thanks, guys.
Bring in the color.
Joe Weider's Olympia here in Orlando, Florida. A little bit strange coming out of Las Vegas for all of those years.
Good evening, and welcome to the event that nearly never happened.
There's been an absence of a particular group of people on this stage that are back tonight. Tonight I'm here to say, welcome back to Miss Olympia.
And we're black.
All right, we are black.
No,
Black
you're
in the
black,
house.
but listen, and even blacker with the ProTan, man.
Absolutely.
Last we went to commercial break, we were talking
Nothing
about
like a little bit of color, bro.
Hey, listen, it's
Love
always appreciated. But
like the color
like
things
you
up.
said, Stacey, you know, even black guys that were dark, always served them better to use color to even out the skin tone. Listen,
Absolutely.
not everybody's skin is especially the same all over the place. You got light spots and dark spots.
But who shouldn't use the color on stage?
That's it. Let me tell you, everyone. And I'll tell you
Everybody.
why. Everybody. So let's talk about we talked briefly about why do you need a tan. The reason you need a tan is for the stage lighting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very simple. White reflects, black absorbs. So that tan allows the judges to see your true physique. If you're fair skin, the light's hitting you, it's reflecting off, it's creating blind spots. So you won't see your definition. So this is why a tan is important for all levels of competitors, from the bikini to the big bodybuilding. You need to accentuate your muscle. You work so hard for it, so you got to do it. So that's why a tan is very valuable in the bodybuilding world, because you're on stage.
Yeah.
And like in anything, it's a makeup. So we've now evolved to become what we call the makeup business for the bodybuilding. So that's the real reason. Every skin color should use a base tan, a topical tan, or a ProTan show, because like you said, just because you're a black man or woman doesn't mean you don't have variation in your skin. So often people wear shirts, they don't realize they have a farmer tan.
Yeah,
And that was actually Robbie's problem. You actually have and you see it on stage. It's very noticeable on stage.
Yeah.
So that would balance you out and make your skin very rich looking. Oftentimes, of course, a darker skin, one application does enough.
Yeah.
Okay, and now we have other products like some topical things like creams that have color in it. So if you're a physique guy and you're a dark skinned black guy, or just darker skin color, you get with one of the creams that you know is going to wipe on, wipe off. So we've evolved to make sure that every person has something to choose from, but all being consistent with making sure that you look great on stage.
What about getting it? What about taking it off? Because I didn't have to worry about removing the color, because I had the base tan. My color was rich for weeks after the competition.
Yeah.
But now, what if I want to get it all off? Haven't we evolved into some products that can help remove this product?
Yeah. So of course, like anything, we're going to use the analogy of how do you paint a car? You sand it first. Well, it's the same thing with your body. Your skin has, of course, the largest living organism is your skin. It exfoliates. It sheds itself every 14 days.
Right.
So oftentimes, before people prep their skin, what I mean by prep, exfoliate, a body scrub. We make a product called Get Buff that's specifically designed to exfoliate your skin, which means you're smoothing your skin out. It's like baby skin.
Yeah.
And then you apply it. And sometimes you have to do that 1 or 2 days before, because if you're a person that has dry, rough skin, it takes 1 or 2 showers to exfoliate off. So that's your base. So now once everybody's ready to submit, Sean, your tan lasts nice because you actually have very good skin.
Thank you.
And it sheds evenly. Back in the old days, people would shed like snakes with ProTan. I mean, let me be honest with you.
Right.
You would shed like snakes with ProTan, because if your skin was you get so dehydrated, so dried out for your show,
Right.
you suck all the moisture out of everything, even your skin.
Yeah.
So it's so now with exfoliation, at least it wears off evenly now. So it's the pre-tan, and it's the reason what makes it look good at the end of the show. Right. Fast forward now, there are some ingredients that lift the ProTan off. We have I don't have it on my desk, which I have everything else but that on my desk. You guys can see. I got everything on my desk. But we now make a product that is a remover that does take off the first layer, which is really nice, because back-to-back shows, you want to take off the first so you can go right from one show 1 week to the next without having any kind of possible, snake-like. Because not everybody's skin, if you don't prep right, it doesn't wear off as good as you should. So prepping is key for that, exfoliation.
One of the memories that sticks clearly with me is obviously the sponge brush.
Yeah, right.
But it looks like there's a bottle behind you that's a spray now. Is there a topical, is it a spray? Is that the tan?
Well, so, if you look to our old bottle, which was a cap, and we pour in a bowl and you do it. Well, back then, people had to do it. So you'd spray your back and you could do it. But the whole idea is pour in a bowl, dip it, and that's it. This was great for guys like that are by yourself. Like you need immediate in you. How could you do it? So, the spray is something that is here, but we don't, we recommend if you're doing it by a brush, it's faster by that. You put in a bowl, use your brush or your sponge, in that case, dip and do it. This took a long time. But it took me 20 years to figure out to pour in a bowl. Let's be real. We used to still spray. If I was with you, so I think I did this too.
Yeah.
Funny thing is I remember when that came out, and but I've seen people for years, and it's usually the same story every time. You see somebody, they come off the stage. What'd you think? You were too light, man. I did how many coats did you do? I did 5 coats. Right off the bat, the second they say that, did you spray it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Look at. You got to go old school, man. Take the thing off, pour it in the glass that comes at the hotel.
Rub it into the pores,
right? And I tell you, nothing beats old school when it comes to putting on ProTan. Now, I will say this: it took me literally. I used ProTan Stacy from the second you guys hit the market, 1987. We met, back in the early days.
Bob copied me.
Right up until 2006, my last show. Right? It wasn't until 2006 that it dawned on me to use a bigger sponge.
We only had the 2-inch poly brush. They made 4-inch ones.
I use that stupid little brush all these years, right?
280 pounds.
You got your girl, your wife, whatever the time frame. You're trying to get the lines out, right? It never dawned on me until almost I retired that you could. Why don't we just use?
Bob, you're a super heavyweight. You need a bigger brush.
Well, I mean, he's got products now that you can actually buy but back then he didn't have those. Okay. But even then,
sponges. Now we got 6-inch sponges.
Yeah.
Now we got the big things.
See, now these are great, but what we used to do, we'd go get that pink and that blue sponge that you get in your kitchen.
Bob, you used to listen to the 8-track tapes. He's taking us way back.
Bro, you could do your whole body in 1 minute.
It's called evolution, Bob. Do you got a sponge big enough for him now? I doubt it.
We do.
Oh, you do?
We have the jumbo sponge. Yeah, we got
the
small.
need it.
If you're gonna
him and Big Rami.
If you're gonna sponge Bob, okay,
you're gonna need a big sponge.
You better be a big one. Okay,
it better be a big sponge. Well, Stacy,
not under the seat. Under the seat.
It's hard to try to change and evolve and reinvent yourself. I mean, this is really the only job you've ever had, which is kind of like Bob and myself, bodybuilding and talking bodybuilding and doing bodybuilding. What can we expect now coming out of the ProTan camp going forward? We're in 2021. What are we looking forward to coming up?
Well, let me tell you a couple of things that we can address. So in general, when I started ProTan, I was really a warehouse worker, but fast forward, I actually got involved in the Cosmetic Association. I served for 5 years as the youngest board member of the Cosmetic Association of Florida. Mm-hmm. So I really became a very efficient skincare developer. So ProTan, of course, was my brand, but I've made many brands over the years, and I've had many brands. So what people see in the Bible is ProTan, but I own hair care companies and brands. So we're a full-blown cosmetic company, which means we're constantly evolving ourselves. Fortunately for ProTan, the formulation has been the same since '87. We've never had to change that product.
That's good.
We changed it from green to brown. Now that it's brown, it's always sweet. But where we've gone now is we're in application at shows. Often now bodybuilders and new bodybuilders are relying on us to spray tan. So fortunately for us, we've been able to maintain our growth with having great ProTan Chicas teams. And you guys see them. ProTan is elevated to another level because of the team around us. And the athletes have appreciated the service we give them and make it easier for them to participate at a bodybuilding show. Because doing a tan on your own, it's easy to do. You can't make a mistake. We saw a tremendous amount of DIY, especially with COVID, being spray tan. I have to say that. There's definitely ways you can still do it yourself. I'm still a big believer in do it yourself. It's great. It's easy. It's fun. But, the next evolution is real simple. Last year we came out with, we have our glue for bikinis. Well, we had to come up with a spray one because in the old days, the girls would share the rolling ball. Well,
can't do
nowadays
that.
It's a spray. So we had to evolve. We made a spray on bikini bite, which keeps the girls' suits from slipping and falling. We came out with tattoo covers for people that want to cover their tattoos. The first one was a makeup that you blend in and you could cover small tattoos. And, because a lot of people.
Yeah, but why get a tattoo if you want to cover it up?
Hey, hopefully it's better than that cadaver makeup people have been using. I've never seen anything worse on. Actually, the tattoo looks better.
Yeah, I'd rather. Why get a tattoo to cover it up?
Horrible look, but I mean, it's a grayish, thick look. It looks like your skin's this thick with this stuff.
Yeah.
Again, another bit of advice to people: don't ever use that cadaver makeup stuff that people use to cover tattoos. It's the worst looking on stage.
Well, Stacy,
Well,
how many countries are you in with this ProTan product?
So we're in 100 countries.
Wow.
So we have an office in Hungary where Gary Wagner, my partner, runs our European division. We have an office in Brazil where Marco is my partner there, and we have an office in China. So we have 3 offices that service the world for us. Today we have over 300 tanners that work under the ProTan brand globally for us.
Yeah,
and
you didn't even start blowing up till you met your wife there. And now you're a grandfather.
True.
You're a grandfather too now.
Yeah.
We're going through this whole thing together.
Well,
man.
the wife's
crazy.
the real brains behind your organization. So
Yeah, I mean, give the credit where the credit is due, Steve. I mean, you're
Listen.
good, but she's great.
Bro,
I don't know how that happened.
She's not here to take the accolades. I'm in heaven, all right?
Yeah.
So
We know.
you know me, guys.
You don't even have ProTan on, man, and you are like glowing.
you beat
How can you miss? I put it on 5 minutes before. I put it on a minute before you missed that.
You are a professional.
Listen, Stacy just beat you out. You don't know this, but we've never said this before, but just before you launched ProTan, Sean was actually working on a product called ProTan.
ProTan, bro.
And you just came out with it, and it shelved the whole thing.
I said, screw it, because you put me under contract.
Yeah.
I was one of the first guys working for ProTan. I was in the ads. Where's the ad at, Stacy?
Oh,
you got everything but the ad. Here it is. Look at this.
Here's an ad before photos. Who's this guy?
Wait a minute,
here?
I can actually.
This is before they had actual photography.
I can actually.
Before we knew what Photoshop was.
You got to go with the pros. I'm the black guy
Clearly,
there, Bob.
well, clearly you're the
You're
black
the stick
guy.
figure right
but
next
those
to me.
other physiques, now that looks like Anya Langer.
Yeah,
You got her.
And the guy on the right,
That
I
looks
think.
like a Boyer Coe or Denny Tenorino.
Gary Stridham.
Gary Stridham.
Oh, is that what that's supposed
Gary
to
has
be?
blonde
Yeah,
hair.
it's very small.
That's
to
a
us,
crappy
but-
picture of Gary. I'm
Who's the
dwarfing.
one-
I'm dwarfing Gary
Who's the one
Stridham in
next
that.
to Sean?
That's Rich Gaspari.
Oh, is that supposed to be?
Oh yeah, that's Rich Gaspari.
What's funny is they're all almost kind of characters except for you. That actually looks just like you.
That looks just. You got the color right, anyways.
But I'm showing you, and I'll tell you, this was actually second evolution because this is actually not even an ad. I have older ads in here, but
Wow.
I mean, I'll show you. I keep an old collector. You know, I'm an old guy, so I don't use the iPhones all
There
the
you
time.
are.
What do you got?
I keep my
Abacus back
memories
there? What is that?
and books.
Okay.
But this is an ad. This is an article I wrote for Muscular Development
Oh,
back
wow.
in 1980,
Putting on the glitz.
1988. It was
Wow.
appeared in Muscular, and there's the bottle. And this is how we educated the athletes back in the day. So it
Yeah.
was really fun.
Very
It was
cool.
great. You know, we had this great article, and it was great. We taught people, you know, look, where are we going now? Our job now is to support the industry we love, which is bodybuilding. We love the NPC, IB Pro. We love the sport. It's really been, it's in my blood. Forgive me for spitzing.
It's
as we
okay.
say.
Hey, listen, we got to wrap it up, but I want to thank you for being one of the major
That's it?
sponsors.
That's all I got?
No, I mean, listen, we could be here all night. We're picking up where we left off at the steak dinner there after the Olympia party. But on behalf of Jake Wood and the Olympia committee, we want to thank you for your sponsorship, supporting the Mr. Olympia contest. I know you're not going anywhere; it's just getting bigger and better.
No, and I was just about to say, and I'm so thankful to be a part of the Olympia. You know, this was our 16th year as a sponsor of
Crazy.
Olympia.
You come a long
Great
way.
show, great event, run well, very happy. And these are the moments I live for. We had a terrific show. We're so proud to be a part of the Olympia weekend. And you know, making these athletes look good is a lot of work. And I'll tell you what, the reward we got from just everybody is great. And I'm going to make an announcement right now that no one knows about.
There we go.
But there's a new ProTan
I'm not coming
athlete.
back. I'm not coming back. Go ahead.
This is a new ProTan athlete. And take a guess who's now officially a ProTan athlete.
Victor
He's
Richards.
Big Rami. It's got to
Big
be
Rami.
Yeah,
There you go.
I mean, no one deserves it more. You saw we saw what he looked like. I mean, he was
So
missing the polish, right? Now he has it.
I have to get that in. The year before last, he was struggling. We helped him. We cleaned up his mess. He loved what we did at the night show. This year is a ProTan, and I'm proud to say on this show, Monday Night Muscle Up, Big Rami is now a ProTan athlete. Thank
Hey,
you.
that's a smart move.
When you got the best in the world using your product, that pretty much says you all needed to say. So,
Absolutely. Welcome to the
Stace,
big
we
time.
appreciate you popping in there, bringing us up
Thank
to
you
speed.
so
and
much.
We will catch up with you in the 2021 season, my friend.
And if anybody ever needs us for anything, feel free to reach out. We'll help you with everything. You can visit ProTanUSA.com. We have great girls that look after you at every show. We're here to answer your questions. Best of luck, bodybuilders. Enjoy the sport. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you guys for so much time. I appreciate it.
All right, well, that'll do it for another episode of Monday Night Muscle with CEO of ProTan USA, Stacy Kaufman. For Bob Chick, I'm Sean Ray.